Welcome to NMS. I'm going to talk about what autophagy really is because I think people get so confused with it. I did a couple of lives recently and I did actually ask the question, what is autophagy? And because of the amount of misinformation going around about what actually autophagy is, I thought doing a good video about it might actually help people to understand the process of autophagy and what it's actually used for in the body. So what really is autophagy and why is fasting not the only way? Well, autophagy, as the definition says, is a regulated cellular mechanism that involves the degradation and recycling, not regeneration, of damaged or unnecessary cellular components throughout the lysosomal pathway. In other words, what happens is cells that are either old, or they're cells that are bad cells, cancer cells, whatever, those cells are actually removed, They're surrounded and a lysosomal sort of enzyme starts to break them down. And what it does is it takes all the components of it, fats, sugars, proteins, it takes it all and it goes and sends it to areas of the body where that's going to be needed. Now, yes, it's a necessary part of the human body and the body does actually need to go and have some sort of autophagy. But the only reason that there's more autophagy during fasting is because you've got no nutrients coming in, so you need some nutrients. Therefore, during fasting, your body breaks down more cells through autophagy in order to have proteins and fats and carbohydrates and sugars from DNA in order to go and produce other cells or other enzymes or whatever else. It's not going to produce muscle in that time. It's certainly not going to produce any cells it doesn't need. It's only going to produce what it does need. So that really is the first definition of autophagy. Next, I'm going to talk about things that actually speed up autophagy. All right, what we have here is autophagy. Basically is a natural ongoing process in the human body, but it is upregulated by certain conditions such as, and these are the following. So fasting or calorie restriction, notice it's fasting or calorie restriction. So fasting can cause autophagy, but calorie restriction causes autophagy. Both can lead to the same outcome, Exercise, especially endurance or high intensity training, that means that, endurance training or intense training, weight training, so forth, HIIT training, that can all do it. Oxidative stress, so you've got chemicals that oxidize a cell, maybe that causes damage to the cell, so the body will actually go and break down that cell and get rid of it, because that cell has now been tainted. Hypoxia or low oxygen, so that also triggers autophagy. Aging and senescence, so baseline autophagy declines with age, so we don't actually break down cells as much when we age, but we also don't have as much cellular regeneration, and hence why exercise comes into it, plus being in a calorie restriction as we get older. So exercise becomes very important for people who are aging. Hormonal change, including insulin suppression, glucagon increase, and low levels of amino acids that stimulate autophagy. Now what that basically means is, so if you've got low sugar levels, more autophagy, and if you've got low amino acid levels, specifically leucine, that's very important. So guys, leucine can actually go in, low levels of leucine can cause cells to be broken down by autophagy because your body needs leucine. It's an anabolic amino acid and it promotes mTOR and we need leucine. So if you're deficient in leucine, your body will break down cells for it. So how can we actually speed up autophagy? Good question. So first of all, nutrient deprivation, fasting 12 to 36 hours or even more. The longer we fast for, the more autophagy we have. That doesn't mean we have regeneration. That means we're breaking down cells because the nutrients are not there and your body is breaking down cells to get nutrients. That doesn't mean it's cancer cells or anything like that. It means it's all cells that the body doesn't need. It's just breaking down cells in order to go and give the body nutrients. Ketogenic diets and low carb diets, once again, low insulin, reduces obviously creates the need for more nutrients, and therefore your body starts having more autophagy. Exercise, okay, especially high intensity interval training, but also cardiovascular training, okay, that increases autophagy. So it's important that you realize that exercise can induce autophagy, and probably to an extent better than nutrient deprivation, because you're actually stimulating the need for recovery from that exercise. Therefore, you've got autophagy and cellular regeneration. Calorie restriction without fasting, okay? So you can be in calorie restriction and still get the benefits of autophagy. Heat and cold exposure like saunas and obviously cold dips, cold plunges, ice baths, all that sort of thing can increase the stress on the body and induce autophagy. Sleep. Now, sleep does more than just autophagy. Sleep is cellular regeneration, because your body is actually recovering from, whatever you've done during that day. So, if you've done exercise, you're actually regenerating cells that you've broken down during exercise. You're replacing, you're doing repairs to cells that you may have damaged, cuts, wounds, all sorts of things. So sleep is very important. Sleep is a proper function of, cellular regeneration, and we need to do it. Now, the last one is low insulin, as ketogenic diets, but also low mTOR. In other words, mTOR is secreted in response to leucine. You don't have leucine. So you have basically low mTOR. Your body starts breaking down cells because it needs leucine. Okay, so autophagy is actually the opposite of anabolism when you think about it. Okay, so you're breaking down cells. That's catabolism. Anabolism is actually going and producing more cells. So that's cellular regeneration. Both processes are needed in the body. If you're not feeding yourself, especially long-term fasts, you're going to have problems. Any comments, guys, leave them below. But I'll leave this video up, and it's going to be on my YouTube page. Thanks for listening, guys.